Long overdue. Asics is back. Total honesty, I haven't made a video review of an Asics shoe in quite some time. While I have put a number of their offerings through the review process over the years, there hasn't been many that have excited me enough to pull out the camera. Well, I'm happy to report that dry spell is over. The new Asics Novablast 2 is the first of a handful of their new shoes that has really surprised me, and I'm excited to finally drop my thoughts. The Novablast 2 is a solid update to a shoe whose first version had some problems. The new squishy and energetic FlyteFoam Blast is super fun. That, in combination with a better fitting double layered upper, gusseted tongue, and lacing system make this a great all-arounder. The drop is reduced from 10mm to 8mm, the outsole is leveled up, the stance is wider. There's just a lot of updates that bring the Novablast 2 into the forefront, and I'm excited about it. But as always, the shoe is not without its weird quirks, and we're going to get to those in today's review. Let's dive in.
Ginger Runner.
What is up, everybody? Ethan Newberry, the Ginger Runner, here for another Ginger Runner review. As I mentioned in the intro there, I haven't reviewed a shoe from Asics in a very long time. It's not for lack of testing. I've definitely put a lot of their shoes through the testing process, just haven't really made a video review. That is until today. It's because it's a shoe that intrigues me. From Asics, it's the Novablast 2. Before we even dive into the review, of course, there's a couple things I have to point out. First, this shoe was provided for review by Running Warehouse. I'm under no obligation to say anything positive or negative. I'm not financially compensated for this review. All of my opinions are my own. You are the first to see them. No one has to approve them or anything like that. So now that that's out of the way, I also want to be sure to point out, if you're watching this video around the time that I posted this video, which is sort of late June 2021, it is Western States 100 week. The race is back. The big dance. And there's a lot of films on this channel that relate to that race. I followed some runners in the past. Many of them are linked just up there at the top of the video. Go check them out. Go watch some of the fun movies following just amazing athletes who have competed at that race. I thought it would be sort of fun to highlight that here at the top of the review. Without further ado, let's dive in. As with all of my reviews, I like to talk about the things that I like and dislike. The Novablast 2 is no exception. Let's start, as always, with the things that make me happy. Things that I like. Starting with FlyteFoam Blast. So the FlyteFoam, I've used in other Asics shoes. The FlyteFoam Blast is really fun. It's squishy, really energetic. You get tons of energy return out of this thing. It makes the shoe bouncy, squishy, really comfortable. It doesn't take away from the running experience. I think it enhances it, and it does really make the shoe super fun. And it gives you that softness without losing that lateral stability that I had an issue with in the Novablast first version and in other shoes that are really highly cushioned or really squishy. It doesn't suffer from a lot of the stability issues that I had in the first one. It's a tight squish, a bouncy squish. It's really fun. That's the best word to describe it. Fit. So I like the fit of this shoe. It's been a long time since I've liked the fit of an Asics, but I think you get a really solid lockdown here. Really great midfoot support and lockdown. Yes, I am utilizing the ankle lock lacing style. I think that works really well, but the shoe holds my foot in really well, and it is also fairly accommodating here through the mid and forefoot. So not only do you get a good lockdown, but you get some good movement for your toesies up in the front. It's a soft and comfortable double layered mesh. That in combo with the gusseted tongue, it just brings the shoe onto your foot and it holds on, which is great. Underfoot feel. So I sort of touched on this a little bit with the FlyteFoam Blast explanation earlier, but really what I want to talk about is the difference between version 1 to version 2 and how much better version 2 is. So underfoot, you have this sort of pod in the middle of your forefoot. The first version, that was problematic. You could feel it. No matter how many miles you put in the shoe, it was something that you could feel underfoot, and it caused a bit of imbalance. The squish of the foam and the tightness and responsiveness of the foam, and also the reduction in that lump, as well as the additional width through the midfoot and the rest of the midsole itself, allows this shoe to be a lot more comfortable underfoot, and it doesn't fight you or want to roll your foot in a certain direction. It just knocks the first version out of the water. So I'm happy to see these changes. I think the shoe feels so much better underfoot. It's a do-it-all type of shoe. So as a daily trainer, if you're looking for a shoe to kind of do it all, from long distance road runs, slow plods on weekends, getting that up-tempo speed workout during midweek, but you just kind of want one shoe to do it all, this is a really great option. It does provide you with plenty of life, a lot of fun, and plenty of miles that's going to be comfortable underfoot for those long days, the shorter days, the faster days. I will definitely want to designate this more as a training shoe, definitely not race day shoe, but with the FlyteFoam Blast, the lockdown, the overall comfort of the shoe, I think the Novablast 2 makes for a fantastic, all-around, do-it-all daily trainer. I can't believe I just said that. I really can't. That being said, it's not all beautiful escarpment climbs or Cal Street breakaways. There are a couple of things that I dislike about the Novablast 2. Let's get to those now. Starting with weight. In my size 11, it is 11 ounces, which is, a bit on the chunkier side. And ultimately, the problem for me is where it's balanced. So you're just getting a lot of heel weight and a lot of that mass sort of pushed back towards the back of the shoe. So with the unbalanced feel, that makes the weight feel a little bit more dramatic. Bringing us to our next dislike, the heel. Just the fact that the heel is so built back here. We've got a lot of the foam, big thick heel counter, some additional overlays on the back of the shoe that make it thicker and heavier in that region. Also talking about the heel drop, it went from 10 millimeters to 8 millimeters. It is still a significant drop. You will feel it if you're not used to something that dramatic. It's even more pronounced when you start talking about the lateral heel height. I found myself really wanting to scuff the outside of the lateral side of my heel. Even just looking at the back of the shoe, you'll notice there is more material on the lateral side, whether that's to compensate for people who tend to pronate. I noticed it almost immediately upon putting the shoe on, and it is something that has still sort of caused me issue throughout my time testing the shoe. So a lot going on here in the heel, bringing us to our final dislike, bulk. So you take the combo of heavier weight that's not really evenly distributed, you take that giant bulk of the heel, and overall the shoe just feels bigger than it really is. I mean, 11 ounces isn't super heavy, but the shoe feels like it is. The best way to describe it is it sort of feels like the early days of the Fresh Foam series from New Balance, just kind of clunky and big and not really smooth. That's sort of what the Novablast 2 feels like. I don't want to knock it too badly because it is a better shoe than I anticipated and certainly a great upgrade from the Novablast 1, but it's still not without its weird quirks. It's not going to work for everybody. It's not going to work for every situation. Just giving you the heads up. Let's dive into the breakdown, where we break down the shoe in 5 different categories: build, quality, comfort, fit, price, and looks, starting with build quality. So, I'm pleased with the quality of the build of this shoe. I think the materials they're using are good. The FlyteFoam Blast is awesome. I think they improved the upper a bit. It's still thick. It does get hot in hotter days, which we are heading into the summer. So breathability will probably be an issue as far as build quality is concerned, but you'll get plenty of miles out of it. New, durable outsoles, holding up quite well as well. Comfort. I think the shoe is super comfortable. So that's the selling point of this shoe. While not necessarily balanced, certainly springy, squishy, and energetic. So you're going to get a lot of that responsiveness out of the midsole. I'm a big fan of the comfort. Fit. It's not going to be a super wide shoe. Asics aren't known to be super wide, and they certainly have that kind of old traditional pointy running shoe style through the upper. If you're familiar with Asics, if you're familiar with how Asics fit, you'll feel right at home here in the Novablast 2. I really like the midfoot lockdown. I feel like the heel does a pretty good job of holding your foot in as well. I never felt like the shoe was slipping around or having any fitment issues whatsoever. So that's a good thing. When it comes to price, we're talking about $129. Pre-order right now. Link is in the description there. I don't think it's a terrible price point. I think for a daily trainer where you're probably going to get hundreds of miles out of the shoe, that's a pretty good price point. And I've talked about shoes recently being at that $120 to $130 price point. That just seems to be the new starting point for daily trainers that are going to last you a while, which kind of sucks. I'd love that to be a $100 price point, but the reality is we're just not seeing it anymore. So at $129, it certainly tips the scales as more expensive daily trainer. You're getting some new tech in the foam, but there's some others out there that are going to give it a good run for its money. And finally, looks. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it's a great looking shoe. I don't think any of the colorways are really good looking. Some of their faster, more race-oriented shoes do have some really cool design aesthetic. We're not getting that so much in the Novablast 2. My guess is that they're trying to appeal to as wide a market as possible with a daily trainer. That just means a lot of subtle grays, whites, with maybe a little bit of color splashed in there just to keep things, palatable for so many. I think that's a problem. I would love to see the shoe be bold and innovative, but unfortunately, I think the looks aren't doing the shoe any benefit. So, taking all of this into account, what does it mean? In conclusion, I think the Asics Novablast 2 is a solid upgrade from an original that wasn't one of my favorites. We're dealing with a thoroughly enjoyable, energetic midsole material. We're getting a very comfortable, soft, though a little thick upper that might cause some heat issues, but contributes to a nicely fitting, foot-encompassing shoe with lots of dynamics, pushing it into the potential do-it-all daily trainer that many of you might be looking for. The shoe is not without its stiff competition. New Balance, the Rebel V2 that I just reviewed, the Clifton 8 from Hoka that I'm going to review here soon. There's a lot of daily trainers out there from every brand that could really give this shoe a run for its money. But I do think the Novablast 2 will work for a lot of people, especially those looking for a really soft yet dynamic midsole, or for those who are already familiar with how Asics look, fit, and feel on their feet. If you're already familiar with that, you're going to feel right at home in the Novablast 2. Regardless, that brings us to our final criteria. Is the Asics Novablast 2 a buy, try, or a why? In its simplest form, I'm going to give this a solid try. If you were looking for a daily trainer to take you the miles, the distance, and have some fun while doing it, the Novablast 2 is getting there. And you know, if you've been watching my reviews now for a long time, I've been doing this for over 10 years, I have to say that I haven't always been super positive when it comes to Asics shoes. I've had lots of problems with them in the past. So it takes a lot for me to say they've got something going here. And there are some other shoes in the Asics line right now that are really giving me some kicks. Pun intended. So stay tuned for more reviews. That is it for today's review. What do you think? Have you run in the Novablast, or are you excited about the Novablast 2? In the comments of this video, of course, let us know. Let's get that dialogue going. If you have any additional questions, want more information, or you want to get a pair of the Novablast 2 for yourself, links are in the description. They are affiliate links. They cost you nothing. They do help the channel out, so I would consider doing that. If you haven't already, you can get all your running gear and stuff like that from those links. Thanks for watching this review. Obviously, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow across social media networks, and please consider joining the GR crew. Patreon.com/thegingerrunner. We have lots of behind the scenes stuff. We are doing daily live streams where we talk about all sorts of things from running, training, food stuff, tons of discount codes, coupons, and benefits for joining the crew. So consider it if you haven't already. That's it. We hope we're getting out there training hard, racing harder, and partying the hardest. I know I am. We'll see you guys next week for more fun. Bye-bye.